Tensions between London and Moscow are soaring to new highs. Britain announced on Wednesday that it had expelled 23 Russian diplomats and suspended diplomatic contacts with Moscow. It said the move followed the failure by the Russian government to respond to Prime Minister Theresa May's demand for an explanation over the death of a former spy and his daughter in Salisbury. May told the parliament earlier on Monday that it was highly likely that Russia was behind the attempted murder of Sergei Skripal and his daughter by using a military-grade nerve agent. But Moscow has denied involvement in the case and has accused Britain of pursuing a political agenda.
There is no alternative conclusion other than that the Russian state was culpable for the attempted murder of Mr. Skripal and his daughter. The United Kingdom will now expel 23 Russian diplomats who have been identified as undeclared intelligence officers. They have just 1 week to leave.
The British response that we saw was not as strong as I think some people had expected, and there's been only a muted reaction to this affair from other countries. So yes, I think we are going to see more. We're going to see more from the Russian side, but I think there is a finite point beyond which this will not go.
Prime Minister May had given Russia until midnight Tuesday to disclose details of using a chemical agent to kill Skripal and his daughter. But on Wednesday, she said Russia had responded with sarcasm, defiance, and contempt. Russia says that it has informed Britain that it is willing to cooperate in the case and has asked for samples of the nerve agent that London says has been used. But it has accused Britain of failing to follow on its own obligations for the investigation. Officials in Moscow now say the government of Prime Minister May has made a choice for confrontation with Russia.
We have
already said that all of these accusations are nonsense. Our foreign ministry said it in a more formal way that we have nothing to do with this. Russia is not guilty. Russia is ready to cooperate in the framework of the Chemical Weapons Convention only if the United Kingdom takes the pains to fulfill their legal obligations according to the same document. And speaking about manners in general, it's necessary to remember that the colonial era is far behind us in the past.
It will not be the end of it because, first of all, the Russians will reciprocate. They made it very clear that they will take firm steps to respond in what they say will be a proportionate way to what the British have done. So at the very least, I suspect we're going to see British diplomats expelled from Russia. So there is going to be tit-for-tat expulsions. There's also going to be more debates in the Security Council, and there's going to be various actions at all sorts of levels to keep this thing going.
The U.S. joined Britain in its war of words with Russia. The administration of U.S. President Donald Trump sided firmly with Britain in blasting Moscow over Skripal's case during an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council on Wednesday. But Russia says the attack by Britain and the U.S. was a provocation aimed at tarnishing Russia's image. Analysts believe the real motive behind this should be sought in other political battlefronts, where the Russians are ahead of the British and the Americans. And with that, everybody's eyes are on Syria.
We demand that material proof be provided of the allegedly found Russian trace in this high-resonance event. Without this stating that there is incontrovertible truth is not something that we can take into account.
Right. Nobody has said this yet in Britain, but I would not be at all surprised if before long we do hear that. The British and the United States have on regular occasions blamed Russia indirectly for the alleged chemical attacks in Syria. I think it is highly likely that before very long a connection is going to be made between this incident in England and the events in Syria.
The stakes may be too high for Britain and the U.S. to escalate the current level of tensions with Russia any further. But one should expect their diplomatic confrontation to translate into clashes in other proxy battlefields like Syria. And with that, the situation in Syria could deteriorate sooner or later, particularly in areas where the terrorists, who are backed by the West, are losing ground to the army.